Hi, and welcome to OneCo's third Emotional Intelligence training video. In videos over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be looking at the core skills and strategies presented in your Emotional Intelligence 2.0 book. These core skills, your self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, are the foundational skills of emotional intelligence. While each skill can be independent of one another, they do build off of each other to encompass all aspects of emotional intelligence. If you read the book and took the test that went along with it, you received a score in each of these skill sets. Some may have been higher, some may have been lower, some may even have been surprising to you. But remember, that's how you rated yourself, and not necessarily how others see you. These scores give you an area that you, whether knowingly or not, think you need to improve upon. Since each of these skills are viewed as a building block, you should start by focusing on your lowest score and improving that as to improve your overall emotional intelligence. To begin, today we'll look at the first 2 skills that are part of your personal competence section, or things that you can notice and do pertaining to yourself to increase your EQ. We will start with self-awareness. If we view these as building blocks, then self-awareness is our base. Without the knowledge of yourself and your own emotional responses, then you cannot manage them or see how they're affecting other people, and it makes it much more difficult to notice the emotional responses of someone else. Yet only 36% of people can accurately identify an emotion as it's going through them. Most people will tell you good or bad if you ask them how they feel, which really isn't an emotion, but more of a description of their current state. As humans, we're capable of many complex emotions, even varying degrees within an emotion, like from annoyed to enraged, or from content to ecstatic. Notice good and bad are not found on this list. To truly be aware of yourself and your emotions, you need to start putting real names to them and identify them for what they are. But you might be like 64% of people and not know what the emotion is and what it feels like when it's affecting you. This core skill takes a lot of introspection to be really good at. Oftentimes we get so wrapped up in other things that we can neglect our own selves. Take some time to know you. What are your strengths, your weaknesses? What are your values and beliefs? What triggers your negative emotions, and how do you respond to those? Write these out, edit them as you think more deeply about them. Know who you are. And especially with negative emotions, ask yourself, why does this person or that situation really get to me? How do I feel when I'm with that person or in that situation? What emotional effects does this person have on me? And what physically happens when I feel this way? Another part of self-awareness is knowing what an emotion feels like. Next time you're in an emotional situation, try and take note of what's physically happening. Does your heart rate increase? Do you feel an adrenaline rush? Do your muscles tighten? How are you breathing? All of these are different physiological responses to emotions, and noticing them in the moment can help bring awareness to what you're feeling. The second aspect of personal competence is your self-management. Self-management is all about actively choosing what you say and do, and not letting your emotional mind make choices for you. Remember that the way our brain processes information is that it goes through our emotional section before reaching our rational section, so almost everything comes with some emotional pull. Most things easily pass through to our rational brain, but while under duress, we tend to get caught up in the emotional section and react emotionally. This is why self-awareness is our base, because we need to be able to recognize when we're in that mindset in order to better manage it. When you do feel yourself getting taken over by an emotion, slow down and breathe. Recognize the emotion. Buy yourself some time to rationally process the information. Even in extreme emotions, it usually only takes about 3 seconds to force that information into your rational brain. So while it may seem juvenile, the tactic of taking deep breaths and counting to 10 in order to cool off is actually very effective. And so is just sleeping on it and coming back to it in the morning. This definitely gives your brain time to rationally process the information and get out of an emotional mindset. Another thing you can do is create an emotions and reasons list. Start documenting when you have strong emotional reactions and what causes them. You may start to notice a pattern with the situations or the individuals involved that bring about these emotions, and that will let you know of situations when you need to practice your self-management. This is not an easy skill. This is asking you to recognize an emotional reaction as you were wanting to have it, and then altering your natural behavior when you often don't even realize that emotion's happening until it's over. Self-management takes practice, and you're gonna fail more times than you succeed as you start. But the more practice, the more you lay the foundation for positive reactions and non-emotional responses to become second nature. That will then create better outcomes in tough situations and more positive interactions with others. Thanks for watching this week's Emotional Intelligence training video on your personal competence skill set. Next week we'll be looking at the social competence section, how you can use your EQ to improve your relationships with others. See you next week!